welcome to the sustainability session, and welcome to Christoph Guttandin, that will speak to us about the audio community group.
Yeah, just a very quick talk about, in addition to what Paul just said. So, good morning, everyone. I want to talk about the audio community group, and since this is a scientific conference, I came up with a formula. So the audio community group is the audio working group plus people like you. So the audio working group, as you just heard from Paul, is the group at the W3C, which is chartered to develop audio-related specifications, if I recall that correctly. And it's chaired by Raymond and by Matt Paradis, and they will represent Google and the BBC respectively. And it maintains, or it's currently developing, two APIs: the beloved Web Audio API that we all know, which is edited by Paul and by Hongchan, and then the Web MIDI API, which is edited by Chris Wilson and by Jussi Kalliokoski. And that's the working group, and it's a regular W3C working group, which you have to pay money to be part of. And yeah, they could just do their thing, but they decided to create a community group where every one of us can participate, and we can discuss things which we want to talk about, stuff that we don't like about the API, stuff that we would like to have in the API. And yeah, I just want to tell you what that group is about and how you can participate in it. So that's the audio community group, and it's for people who are interested in the future or in the current state of the API. So as I already said, if you have a problem with something, if you have a certain use case, or if you envision an application that you would love to build but you can't because something is missing in the browsers, then it might be a good idea to join the group and to discuss your needs with others. And some people in the room here already did that. Michelle and Andrew, Attila as well. So if you don't believe me that it's a cool thing, ask them what they think about it. And yeah, if you want to join, you just have to have an email address, which you probably all have. And you can go to that URL, which is w3.org/community/audio-comgp. And then you have to just sign up with your email address, and that's it. So there's no commitment involved. You can just sign up and receive, I think, 2 mails a month. So we usually have monthly calls where it's just a Google Meet or Google Hangout, and you get notified when that's going to happen. And then afterwards you get the meeting notes, the minutes of it. And if you don't want to join, or if you can't, that's no problem, you don't have to. So it's not that you have to when you sign up, that you have to show up every meeting, otherwise you will get kicked out or something. It's very informal. There's an agenda every time, but we most likely talk about what people are keen to talk about, and it depends on the people who are on the call, what's going to be talked about. And then there are also face-to-face meetings, which happened 2 times since the creation of the group, and it was also always aligned with the TPAC meetings. But again, no commitment required, you don't have to go there. And yeah, there's also a GitHub repository now, which Paul already showed. It's the one is it the one with the V2 version, or is it, no, it's a different one, right? Yeah. So there's the V2 version where you can also file issues and stuff, but there's also the community group where we currently discuss things like the audio device client, and yeah, you can all participate. And I found some tweets on the internet. I haven't put on the slide who said that, because I don't want to call out people publicly, but someone said web audio is one of the most depressing stories all of web tech, and that is saying something. And well, for me, it's depressing to read tweets like that. Of course, you should not read many tweets if you don't want to be depressed, but in that case, I think it's very unfortunate if you say something like that on Twitter, and it doesn't help anyone. So you piss off some people, but you don't say what you want to have changed. You don't say what's wrong, what doesn't work for you, and yeah, it doesn't help. And some person responded, yeah, it really doesn't look like whoever designed web audio actually understands how audio works. So if that person understood audio better than the person who developed web audio, then why not contribute? So that always makes me a bit sad if I read tweets like that. And I think people just don't know that they can contribute. It's an open process. You can just file issues on GitHub or contribute otherwise. So there's no need to do things like that. And I want to respond with another quote. That's from Rachel Andrew. She gave a talk at CSSConf in 2014, and she was talking about CSS Grid. But it doesn't matter, it applies to any web tech. And she said that if you wait until a spec is implemented in the browser and then start complaining, then it's probably too late. So you have to try it first. You have to follow the spec if you really care. Of course, you can't follow the spec development of every web technology, but if you care about something, it might be worth to follow along how the spec is developing. And if you see something which you think is not cool, you have to talk about it. Because the people who are developing the spec, they are obviously doing their best, but they don't know every use case, and they don't know what you have in mind and what you are going to build. So it might be a good idea to help them. So even though you may not want to join the community group for whatever reasons, there are other things which you can do to push the spec forward. You can, for example, write web platform tests, as Paul already said. It's a public set of tests which can be run against all browser implementations, and it's also a possibility to raise awareness of missing features. So if there's a test which fails, then everybody can see it, and yeah, it will raise awareness of missing features. And as said multiple times now, you can just contribute on GitHub, and you can, of course, file browser bugs if you see something which should be implemented in a browser but is missing. And last but not least, you could stop buying expensive phones which don't allow you to install a modern browser. But that's just a personal suggestion from my side. And since we have December the 6th, and it's St. Nicholas Day in Germany, I want to end with that slide. I've stolen that from Twitter, so there are also funny things on Twitter. It's not only sad and depressing tweets. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
I forgot if there are any questions. I'm, of course, happy to answer questions. But, yeah.
Does anyone has any question? No. Then I have one. I actually tried to create an account on the community group. I guess it was that, I'm not sure. And I had to accept some kind of W3C stuff that I didn't understand because it's legal.
You speak louder even if you have a microphone.
Oh, okay, sorry. I reboot. I tried to create an account on this
I don't know about
community group, and I had to accept some legal stuff from W3C, and I don't know what it was.
I'm not a representative of the W3C or anything like that.
No, but do you have an idea of?
Yeah, I think you have to agree or to formally make a statement that you don't reveal any patented things. So when you contribute something and the patent is filed on that, if you do that, if you contribute, then it's something that you came up with, and you don't. For example, if you would contribute an algorithm for, I don't know, compression or something, then and that's the patent filed on that algorithm, and you just stole it and then publish it, then you are responsible for it, and it's not. I think that's what you have to accept, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. Thanks. Any other question?
can put up the funny slide again.
Hi, I was wondering if people in the room, including you, were generally aware of I think it's called MNX, and it's like a more toward the staff notation or tab rendering in the browser, and whether there is good communication between these working groups.
I'm aware of that specification here, but I'm not sure how the communication between the working groups is done. But in general, there are these TPAC meetings. I've never been at one of those, but that's where all the spec people meet, and then they are physically close together, and I think that's where they interact with each other. So.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so thank you, Christoph.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.